And we're live.
All right. If I ruled the world, imagine that. I'd free all my sons, black diamonds and pearls. Could it be? If you could be mine, we both shine. If I ruled the world, still living for today in these last days and times, said legendary rapper Nas.
Hello.
What's up? What's up, CJ?
What's going on? Sorry, I totally forgot that. I thought you started talking and I was supposed to stop it.
It's all good. It's all good.
My bad.
Thanks for waiting, peeps. Welcome to Industry Outlaws United, IOU for short. I'm your host, Brandon E. Brooks, filling in tonight for our fearless leader, Joe Ridgely, is the man with the Manic Mondayz plan, CJ Robles. Thank you, brother, for stepping up. Appreciate you.
No problem, man. I like being here with you on Friday nights. It's nowhere else I'd rather be at this time.
Awesome. How's your week been?
Dude, it's been good. Like I was saying in the green room, man, it's been a hustle. It's been busy, but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying everything that we're doing, and just the network really just what it sounds like. And the network, we're all connected. Like I like that we all just kind of hang out, doing this, and then we just kind of share ideas and lead each other to other things. It's a great thing. I love it.
Absolutely. We're building a good thing here, like with a lot of good people. Daniella, thank you for waiting for us, and thank you for being here. Appreciate you. So CJ, we have a lot of great shows almost every day of the week. What do we have? Do we have anything coming up this weekend on the IE network?
We do. And with the end of the night, and like Joe just mentioned, we have Michelle Eagleheart and Leslie Goyat. And they did a movie that, you know what? I'm sorry, I don't have any information because I just got it right now. And I know that they have the writers, or directors, and directors of a movie that won a lot of awards. So I'm sorry that I'm not too informative about that.
That's awesome.
What they do?
Talking to our guest here, trying to get him in the green room, but yeah, it's so you were talking about the hustle this week. What's been going on? Like, is it job stuff, or is it any good news?
Just like getting crunching out just doing the shows, but crunching out like graphics, doing like writing, getting a lot of writing done, waking up early and just getting it done, and it's like it leads into like you wake up. I go to writing, I exercise, I go to work, I'm done early, and then I get home and then with my kid, and then somewhere later at the night, like it's like I do a show or I'm working at the theater or just kind of doing something, but it's like my time's going by fast, but I'm enjoying every moment of it. Like I'm able to really just kind of appreciate everything that's going on right now. But yeah, the hustle is it's alive and it's fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy that I'm back on the hustle. It's been a while.
Man. That's what it's about. Like I told you, I've been in this for a long time, and without the hustle, it's not something to do. You might as well just go, just do something different, because it's a daily grind. No matter how long you do it, like Mark will tell you when he comes up, and just like a lot of the guests prior to this, they've been on this show and on David and Scott's show and Gabe's show and your show. It's a daily grind just to even just to keep the lights on. So
yeah, and then on Wednesday we had Crowd the Fun, and we had Terry Jarrell on, and I learned a lot from just having like the little interaction I had with him in the green room and on the show. And then after, I was just like I agreed with everything he had to say. I was just sitting there like, this, I don't have to say anything. It's exactly the way I think about it. And then he started explaining certain things, like even when he was talking about how like a filmmaker that takes breaks, like you can see that they don't really grow from the last part they did because they haven't been working it. And I'm like, that's true. Like it's a workout. It's like a muscle. Like if you stop lifting weights at this point, you're either going to get progressively get worse again, or you're going to plateau. You're not going to be able to go beyond that because you stop working out. Absolutely. Or and that's just like filmmaking. And it took me thinking, I was like, no wonder I had like there's a good 4 years where I was like, why does my films all have the same feel to them? It's because I wasn't really stretching. I was just kind of doing just the stagnant, the A B C A, and then I realized, it could be whatever. It could be 1 2 3, and it's once you start figuring it out. But it's you spend more time with it. And one of my film professors that told me, he just said longevity. He goes, longevity, brother. Just hang in there.
It's a marathon, not a sprint, definitely. Is Mark in the green room? He said he sent me a still that looks like he is, but I'm not certain.
I'm not seeing him in here.
Let me see.
Okay, we're having a little difficulty. But I'm excited to have Mark here because I'm looking forward to seeing one of his movies.
Let me see. Our apologies, live crowd. This is a live show, so anything will happen. But anything that can will. So,
originally, thank you for filling in. Hey, who is Brandon having on next week? Oh, should we already drop the bomb now?
Yeah, we can go ahead and showcase next week real quick.
Drum roll, please. Boom, here we go.
Michael Pereira, everybody. Yeah, Streets of Fire, Eddie Wilson and Eddie and the Cruisers. I worked with him recently, and a great dude. And I mean, very, very forthcoming, very straight up in your face guy. So it'll be a cool chat next week. Looking forward to it.
He needs to go in the room. He's not in the. He's one step before.
So do you know how to get him to that?
Yeah, he needs to write his name in the display, and then and then bring him in. He's like it's like he's like outside the door. There he goes. Here we go.
We got it.
We got him in here now. Do you want me to play the video?
So let's just play the video for our guest tonight, and then we'll bring him up.
All right. Without further ado, here we go. Wow.
Welcome to IOU, one of the dopest minds in all of cinema, actor, filmmaker, dad, the one and only Mark Webber.
Wow. Hello.
What's up, my friends?
Hey, Brandon. Hey, CJ.
How's it
Nice to
going,
meet
Mark?
you.
Nice to meet you.
Um, that was so beautiful. Thanks for doing
I'm
that.
I'm
That was
glad you
really
liked
cool
it,
to see,
brother.
man, in that
I'm
way.
glad you liked it, brother. I appreciate you being here. I know you're a busy guy, and yeah, like I said, it's true. This that CJ, this is one of the dopest cats that I've met in this whole business in my 20 plus years, man. Like the mind in this guy. I know you've seen some of his work, but if you whatever you haven't seen, watch it. Like from not just I know you're a big Scott Pilgrim guy, but from a filmmaking side of it, I know you have some filmmaking aspirations too, CJ. You got to check out this cat's work because I mean that's it's just good. It's good stuff that I spread to everybody. So yeah. So Mark, we appreciate you being here. Just a little backstory about Mark and I. I'd followed his work basically all the way from the beginning because even one of his first films, like I had seen him, he had a small part in that I had seen because I'm a South Jersey guy. He has roots in Philly that are deep, and we invited him to a film festival down in Atlantic City called Down Beach, and we actually were blessed to screen one of his first film, Explicit Ills. And Mark was generous to come, and we met that weekend. And he won Best Director for that great film, and then we just stayed in touch from then. And I just followed his and championed his directing work, his acting stuff. So again, we see right here that's explicit that we showed his beautiful mom there, Sherry. That's us that weekend at the festival, and yeah, it was an
So
interesting
awesome.
weekend, and there's the award that we gave him for explicit, and yeah, so again, you're much appreciated, my friend. Thank you again for being here.
It's my pleasure, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for dealing with me on this end with my technical difficulties, not
It's,
being able
it's,
to
it's all
classics, you
good,
know.
brother. It's all good, man. It's our fearless host Joe Ridgely said good evening, Mark. Like he couldn't be here tonight, but he sends his love. He's a huge
Awesome.
admirer of your work as well. So Mark, anybody that's not familiar with the backstory, we always start off by asking people about their roots, where they come from, like what structured them to end up where they ended up as far as their career. So can you tell us where you were born and raised, and then let it lead us into some of your struggles in Philly with your mom?
Um, well, first of all, man, this is again, thank you. It's really cool to see your work over a span of time with in an edit like that, man. It was beautiful. um
That's my
I
pleasure.
Yeah, it was really cool, man. Thank you. um just puts a lot of things in perspective, man, and just makes me really realize like the journey it's been and how long it's been. But I was born in the Midwest. I was born in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I moved to Philly when I was like 12. um and really had spent those hardcore formative years in Philly, and then headed up to New York uh, just before my 20s, man, to really pursue a career, actively. And one thing led to another, man. I was really fortunate to start working at the age that I started working at.
Yeah. So do you
Yeah.
feel like the hardships, the struggles you had early on, like being homeless in Philly with your mom, do you feel like that shaped the filmmaker and the person that you've become?
Oh man, of course. Yeah. I think the great thing about being an artist and being a filmmaker is that you bring so much of your life and your life experiences and the things that you've gone through, and your perspective to the world. And I think that most people would agree that when you experience some level of adversity in life, it can be really character building. And I'm really grateful that I've been able to use prior like painful experiences and use it for inspiration.
Yeah.
Has been really great. Having the ability to make films, as an outlet has been just incredibly, you know, meaningful, man, to me. Um, it's really, it's so yeah, those any pain any trauma and hardship that I experienced, I definitely it's been a mine, you know, a source of inspiration.
Absolutely, that's dope. So how did you actually get into acting? Coming like from poverty and from all the struggles you went through. What was the first step? Was there somebody you met along the way that started opening up some doors for you, or were you always interested in it?
Yeah, I mean, it's really crazy. I can break it down into like the exact like, you know, sequence of events and like the ripples that happen from it. I went to performing arts high school here in Philadelphia. I'm in Philly right now, which is pretty cool. It's been cool being back. But I got kicked out when I was 17, and so I really had to just get started as quick as I could. Is the way I looked at it. Right? I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not in school anymore, so I got an early start at really trying to get out here and making it happen. And I reached out to a local casting director here in Philly, Mike Lemon.
Yeah, great dude.
And Mike saw something in me, you know, a passion and a drive, and called me in for a film called Edge City, and it was being made about some young urban youth in Philly, and I got an audition and I got the part, and suddenly was making a movie, you know, my first film at like 17 years old. And I learned so much from the process and how it works, and just having that on-set experience was so valuable at that age, you know, to really see how you make a movie. And that movie had an association with a New York casting director named Susan Shopmaker, really legendary, awesome casting director out of New York. And she saw the film and knew I was eager to like get an agent and meet people. And so she set up a meeting with this woman, Abby Bluestone, at Innovative Artists in New York City. And Abby became my agent and was my agent for the majority of my whole acting career before I just started working solely with my manager. And yeah, that was it. You know, that like 1, 2, 3
that ripple effect
punch there, and I got started. And you know, once I started working and doing films, it just led to more opportunities, more auditions, and more films. And it's been a really wild ride, man.
That's awesome. That's dope. So what does acting mean to you? I mean, obviously over the time you start to learn more, you get deeper into because you play a lot of deep characters, not no cookie cutter things. Like, so even the ones that are more romantic and on like on more of a straight side, you always bring something a little edgier to it. So for you, what is the craft of acting? What does that mean for Mark Weber?
Acting is so fun, man. It's so fun. It's so interesting, you know. You can really, you know, you get to make it your own. You get to define it for yourself, you know, what it means to you. And it can really often feel like this really singular moment, you know, the way you choose to express yourself as a performer can take shape in so many ways. And for me, it's to be able to express myself and to make art, you know, to play different sides of people in the world, is really fun, man. It's just it's a blast. It's such an interesting thing to do, and I love the collaborative exchange of filmmaking. You know, I like the how it requires, you know, a group of people coming together to make a singular vision, right? I like that group effort. I like being on set. I like the way that feels, you know. I like a group of people being together, all trying to make something, explore,
with one
and
common
dig deep
goal,
and,
with
you
one
know,
common goal. That's what's up.
It's
So So one of my favorite roles of yours is the role of William in The Hottest State. So you built a relationship early on in your career. I believe you were in Chelsea Walls with Ethan, correct?
Yeah.
And then I don't know if that's where your relationship began, but that obviously filtered over into The Hottest State. Tell us about like who Ethan Hawke is and what you gained from working with another actor director that's phenomenal like yourself.
Man, I adore Ethan, man. I adore him so much. I think, I'm so grateful to him. I'm so happy that I got to know him when I did, and have an opportunity to work with him and to work with him on his first films as a director, including The Hottest State, where, I was essentially playing a version of himself and his life experience, and it was a huge honor. And Ethan was really the first director to come along who was an actor, and so he was so kind and so gracious. It was really beautiful to see someone of his profile at the time be nothing but pure joy and kindness, and it really fostered this amazing environment on set where everyone felt safe to just explore, and be vulnerable and dig deep. And it was just, it was so formative for me, man. Like the way he looked out for everyone and genuinely cared for what everyone was doing and how they were doing it. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to carry that forward in my directing career, because there's a tendency, there's folks within the industry, and the industry can kind of like reward bad behavior and people being assholes and shit. And so to see, a movie star like that just be so cool and so down to earth and so not movie star bullshit, was inspiring,
That's dope. That's great to hear. That's great to hear because he's always been an actor and a filmmaker that I've followed as well. So we'll move a little bit forward. 2010, another amazing filmmaker, Edgar Wright, cast you as Stephen Stills in the cult classic Scott Pilgrim. So how did this all come about? Was this an arduous process? Was this something that took a while? Did you just hit off with Edgar? And just tell us some experiences about what this film means to you.
It's so cool, like looking at photos when you're saying this, because I'm like, it just takes me instantly right back. I get so giddy about it, man, because like it really is. It's such a fun thing to be able to do with your life, Yeah. And so my gratitude is immense. Edgar is a genius, and I was so excited to be cast in that film, which was, script was sent and I read it and had an opportunity to go in and audition. And it was one of those, more rare occasions where I felt good about the audition itself, because auditions can be so stressful, and, you can beat yourself up as an actor, feeling like, I could have done so much better, but that one went well, and I could tell and I could feel, and just Edgar's energy in the room. I'm like, this guy clearly has a vision, knows what he's trying to do here. And that's exactly what it was like to work with him, and for a film that had so many moving parts and so many elements to it, so many technical elements, that was so inspiring, to be working with someone who literally shot for shot had this movie in his brain, and there was nothing that was going to stop him from getting those images the way he wanted to. So it felt like, you were plugging yourself into this beautiful portrait already, the parameters, the backbone of how the story was going to be told with these cuts and, sequences. It really it just amplified the experience for us all. We felt like, wow, you felt really a part of something special,
It's definitely
So
groundbreaking stuff right
yeah,
there.
yeah.
I was telling CJ before that like I haven't seen anything quite like it since. So I mean that shows you the vision that Edgar had.
So as a nerd here for nerd culture, and you being in Scott Pilgrim, it's I was wondering, and as a filmmaker actor, when you got the part, did y'all just do the acting first, or because that has a lot of graphics and cutaways like in post? Was the majority of that movie made in post, or was it made more in on set? Because that's
Oh, well, I was totally made on set. You know, the all the graphic effects and all that stuff came, you know, after the fact. There was, you know, we were it was such a cool group of people too, man. Such a great, it was a, you know, I look at what everyone has gone on to do in their careers and who they are now, and I'm like, wow, we had a really special bunch of people at that time. Yeah, it was just it was a lot of kind of meticulous mapping out of what we had to do, and with the most amazing group of young actors at the time, really. You know?
Yeah, that movie's aging well. I watched it like at least once or twice a year. Like I gotta watch it. It's an amazing movie. I just found out that you did Scott Pilgrim versus the Water Bill, or the
Oh yeah, that was, yeah. We did a charity read through for an organization that's all about providing water to you know, impoverished parts of the world, folks who don't have water. And so we came together to raise money for that, and we did a sit down read through of the scripts. You know, a decade later. You know, it was
and you
pretty
rephrased your role, right?
yeah. We all read our parts. Yeah.
And you were also part. I saw vegan police.
Yes, I did. Yes.
And you're a vegan.
And I am, yeah.
Cool.
So the added levels of meaning there were fun. Were fun to play with. Yeah.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Just want to say hello to Shannon Coleman. Thanks for watching, buddy. Sean Smithson, another friend of the show. Thanks for support. So Mark, so you've spoke on the directing a little bit in the intro, but when did a keen focus come on the screenwriting and focus that initially led to your first film, Explicit Ills? Was there a specific moment where you said, I want to tackle this art form?
Yeah. You know, I wouldn't boil it down to a specific moment. It was just like a culmination of,
you
know, just the natural progression of making movies, you know, and making a movie as an actor, you get to a point where you're limited in what you can contribute, you know, and then what you contribute, you're done and you turn it over and the film is made. And, you know, I just became more and more obsessed with the idea of seeing a story all the way through, you know, and then the idea of like performing and then putting a part of your, you know, putting your performance together yourself, you know, which has been a really interesting experience for me and totally really deeply fulfilling. But yeah, just and working with a whole, like one inspiring director after another, you know, just one really cool filmmaker after another. And it just was like, so inspiring, you know, when you're working with so many great folks, you're like, yeah, I want to do that too, you know.
You definitely were blessed with working with some of the greatest minds in the game ever. So definitely it's an easy maturation into it for you. Speaking of deep, like Flesh and Blood, you know how I feel about that movie. I went to see it when you screened it in Philly. That's a very deep movie that hit home in a just a very profound way. Share with our audience like what that film means to you and what it meant to work with your mom and your brother, who was absolutely phenomenal and steals a lot of the scenes in the movies, Guillermo, in that film, please.
Yeah, Flesh and Blood, man, is it's one of the most meaningful. I mean, all my movies that I've made are really meaningful, but
yeah,
Flesh and Blood in particular, just because it's family, you know, and putting my family together and examining aspects of our own real life and our own real pain and heightening it and exploring it and putting it in cinema was it's just such a rewarding experience and process, and really challenging, and I like to be challenged, and I like to challenge myself to dig and go deeper. And it's a beautiful thing when you can make a work of art with your family. And the movie has even more real powerful, deep meaning, just given who my brother, his father, and my father were, and I'm glad that we have this film out there. It's been really beautiful. It's been reflected back, folks who get an opportunity to see the movie or find the movie somehow, and sharing with me how it moved them it's just such a beautiful exchange.
Absolutely. So for the writers, there are a lot of writers watch this. For what is your process in writing? Is it a traditional start with an outline, or do you go a different route?
I kind of I go through this collection of I go through a process where I start collecting moments in my mind, and I start jotting things down. It can be just a moment of inspiration that I find throughout the day. It gives me an idea for a shot or an attribute of a character, and then I start to pull back after a moment and take a look at these things I've collected and find little through lines and patterns, and that generally propels me to a theme, a thematic thing that I want to explore. And then suddenly, before you know it, a story starts brewing in my head, and then these moments get plugged into these characters that I'm developing. And it then becomes this process of then living in some of these characters and seeing, where these characters take me, and continue to chase and find and race towards finding a whole story, and creating a journey. So that's a lot of my process. And it's a lot of like inward exploration and a lot of outward exploration of other aspects of humanity and just our existence, and exploring kind of big existential themes is definitely a through line of a lot of my work. Kind of like how we get here, where are we going, why are we here?
It's so funny. You're leading me into my next question, because obviously the audience can hear how deep you are, and that you're a thinker about not only your art but life. Anybody who can check out Mark's Twitter, I've been on it for years, but he always drops a lot of deep nuggets of truth. So for me, I'm going to throw a few of my favorites at you, and I just want you to give me a little bit about little bit deeper insight about what you were feeling at that moment, because again, like I said, you always drop some nuggets for us. So the first one was a recent one that says, "Violence is too easy. Go deeper."
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you. First of all, man, I just got to say, it's so cool, to hear that these things that you share can have that resonate, because it's I don't know, it's my favorite part about being a human being, is how we impact and affect each other in life, and that's why I really sit and think and consider the things that I'm gonna put out on a forum like Twitter, and make sure they really resonate from a certain part of my being before I put it out in the world, because I don't know, it just feels extra special to me.
It does. It means something, man. It means, like, that's very profound, because again, we live in a world of a lot of hypocrisy, and there's a lot of nonsense going on, not just in Hollywood, but in the world. So again, when you put out, it's cool that you do put out meaningful, because there's a lot of fluff out there and stuff that really means nothing. So the fact that you take the time to think deeper about what you filter to the world is dope. So
thank you, man. And that in particular, was when all the Oscar stuff started popping off.
I figured.
and the slap heard around the world, that was, that it's interesting how a moment like that became, such a it's this cultural moment, and it brings up so much stuff,
it's going to be talked about forever. And there's racial inclinations. There's so many different things I've seen. So many things that I've seen that, but that again, Violence is Too Easy, Go Deeper does sum it up, because again, we want to make sure that message is out there above all, that don't go that route, because again, that takes you down the wrong rabbit hole.
Totally. And anybody who's ever, been the victim of or been the perpetrator of extreme violence, right, will tell you if they could take back any act or moment of violence, they would, right? Because there's a tendency for any violence, besides defending yourself, is reactionary, generally from a place of anger, Absolutely. And there's no time to think in that, and if you have a moment to pause and really think and consider, what these actions are going to cause, you're not going to do it, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm hopeful, and I'm sure, those guys are two really incredible individuals who've had a very interesting life experience, and I think it's a big opportunity for them to grow and grow together and do something impactful together, and I hope that they do. I'm sure that they will,
Absolutely. I do too. All right, another one that's dope, is very simple, is you need permission.
You
don't need permission. You don't need permission.
You don't.
I love that. I love that.
Thank you.
Because it speaks, I'm saying it to the audience, but it's really everything right there in those 4 words. You don't need permission in life and work and everything you do. You don't. I think a lot of us think we do. We're trying to impress, and we're trying to feed the system, and we're trying to do things outside of our own selves, and we need to look inside us and just realize we have what it takes to accomplish whatever it is our goals are. It's just we get in our own ways more than anybody a lot of the times. At least I speak for myself. So again, when I get out of my own way, then I realize that the path opens up so exponentially. I can see the goals. I can see the things I'm trying to do in filmmaking and acting and all the different things that I try to do. So that right there, you don't need permission, is great. Is just a great nugget there. Another one, this is the last one that I picked out, because again, this is very profound to me. Most people aren't really trying to fix the problems we have in this world. They're trying to make enough money so the problems don't apply to them anymore. And that right there is dope, and it's deep. Please give us a little more insight on that.
Man, it's wild that you pulled that one up and brought that one up, because I literally just in the last 24 hours was talking about that heavily, extensively. So that's cool. The synchronicity that's happening right here with this exchange. Man, that's a big one. That's a big one for me. I really believe that to be true, and I think that that's one of the biggest problems in the world today, is, we are, whether we like it or not, we're born into and indoctrinated into systems that have existed for a long time, that function a certain way, and they require you to make a significant amount of money so that you can feel above and at peace from the way these systems impact and affect you. And it's a bummer, and I wrote that because I really wanted, I like to create these gut check moments and have people think about it for a second, and how much that reigns true for them in their own experience, and not to shame or guilt anybody, but to have a moment of thought there, to consider what, if you, and what your responsibility to the world could be, and should be. I see it. I see also there's a dark side of it, of people who appear like they are, really for certain amounts of change and trying, parts of various things, and are really doing it solely for clout, and for resources, and not actually really, are about the things that they claim to be. And that's so it's also commentary there on that as well. And I'm me personally, like, I fundamentally believe that while we are here, we're meant to have really deep, meaningful exchanges with one another and support each other and encourage each other and look out for one another. And, I've seen people with the most extreme levels of success and wealth be utterly miserable and in, darker, deeper places of suffering than I see, folks who don't have a lot, right? And are kind of more oriented and geared towards a life of service and giving, and their joy is infectious. It's just like it's palpable, and so I'm just grateful that I've found that in my life at such an early age, knowing like, no level of fame or money is gonna ever make me feel whole. It's not going to make me happy, and it's not going to solve my problems, and it's not, and what really makes me happy is this, having meaningful exchanges with people and talking about our feelings and our circumstances and the state of the world, and ways we can all try to make each other's experiences better.
Absolutely, brother. I feel the same. I know it's cliche, but I mean, we are all in this together, and we need to try to live in some type of unity and harmony. And I always tell people too, like when I'm blessed to be interviewed, is that I've had some of the best times in my life when I had like $7 in my pocket. I remember being at Tribeca to watch Rosario Dawson's film Descent years ago. I had $7 in my pocket, but ended up watching the movie at the after party, like eating Spanish food from my mom, and like, and again, it's the vibes you give out, like that you belong, and people feel it, and then you end up in just having these amazing times, and you might not even know how you're gonna get back home on the train, but you manage to do what you need to do. And I've had some of the most fulfilling times when I wasn't worried about how much money was in my bank account. I was just looking for the experience, and I was looking for good experiences and not living in my phone or living in what I could film or whatever, like a lot of people do when they're at concerts. I love just going to concerts and just being in the moment, just feeling like what was there. And again, I think we've lost a lot of that in this world because we're so stuck in technology. We're so stuck in everybody else's opinion that I think we lose that. But for me, I try to cleanse myself every once in a while and just go out in the wilderness and walk and just free my brain of like the clutter that is this world sometimes. So yeah, that's really dope. Thank you for sharing that insight on your stuff. So I'm gonna just give a shout out to some of the people. Amanda Renee, who is your tattoo artist, and Not for Nothing's here. Thanks for showing up, Amanda. One of my producing partners, Tim Melican's here. TK Henderson, who has the Black Filmmakers Lounge on Saturday mornings on Facebook. Daniella has a question. What would be your dream role or directing project?
Well, I think I'm in the midst of it right now. I think I'm in the midst of it right now. I've spent the last, 2 years writing my next film, and currently trying to get it all going, and I am, and and I can't. I wish I don't.
You don't want it. That's okay.
To be so
that's
vague
okay.
about it, but it's I think you kind of want it to be that in a certain way, right? You kind of want your your dream thing to be you want to keep getting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I lost your audio there. You good? Can you hear me?
Music?
Okay, there. No, you're good now. Go ahead. Did he get kicked out of the?
No, I think he accidentally might have exited himself. I saw him kind of go to the top corner, and I think it might have happened. Okay. It's like, he'll be right back though. But God, this is such a great interview. I'm trying so hard not to fanboy out. It's hard. Like I'm sitting here listening to him, and he's so genuine, and he's bringing up real stories. And then I don't know, just I mean, it's as distant as we are, all three of us. We're all sharing the same time together right now, and we are synchronized. And the fact that he's aware of this and talking to him, he's like real chill. You're real chill, and I'm just here like
he's just one of the most humble, dopest dude. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not sugarcoating it because we're friends or whatever. It's just he is like, this is the dude you see. He's been this way. I've known him over a decade, and yeah, I mean, the life experiences he's gone through, and I mean, he's even modest about that, like just where he came from. So he had a lot of hardship. So yeah, and I'll get to your question definitely, Sean, when Mark comes back up. Thank you very much, Daniella. Appreciate you, Sean. Appreciate you. Did he sign back in?
Not yet. When he comes back, text. I say text. See. Let's see. Wait, well. I got another question here.
Oh, right. Yeah, I see. Violet Mendoza. Thank you. Awesome. I definitely will tell Mark when he gets back up. I appreciate you watching. Yeah, I knew this was going to be a deep interview. That's why I wanted to bring some different questions than some of the ones I've asked before, because his journey is a little bit different than some of the people that I've brought on before. And it's I think it's impactful, and I think it's uplifting for people to hear some of the stories of someone who came from living in cars and homeless and finding their way to a light and finding their way to a peace and a calm, because many people end up in different trajectories and they end up with different mindsets that are not calm and peaceful and living a vegan lifestyle. And so again, for me, it's cool. It's very cool. So let me see.
There he is.
Oh, there he is.
Keep it real interesting, real funky over here.
Okay. There he is. Awesome, man. So we got a couple questions for you, brother. Sean Smithson says, I'm curious what Mark's favorite role was. By the way, Mark, you're one of my favorite actors. I enjoy how you portray the characters you're playing.
Oh, thanks, Sean. That's dope. One of my favorite roles. You know, I've had so many. There's a part of me that just really loves and have such a little, a piece of my heart, everything that I've done to a certain extent. I mean, I think making the movie Storytelling was a pretty big one for me at the time, though. This Todd Solondz film, I play this stoner teenager named Scooby Livingston. And John Goodman was my dad, and Julie Haggerty was my mom. And I become the focal point of like a documentary being made about youth that Paul Giamatti was playing the filmmaker. And I and my character like aspired to be a TV talk show host. So I actually worked with Conan O'Brien and like his old studio. There's a sequence in the film where like I go on his show. So those were like really, at the time, it was a really big deal, and it was such a, interesting. There, there it is.
CJ's on it.
Awesome. So it was, it's a really interesting film. I encourage people to see that one. It brings up a lot of really interesting stuff, and Todd is a really has a very unique point of view. And his work is often very challenging because he can make you laugh in some very uncomfortable moments, where you are,
like, that long head of hair
at this moment. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I have another question from one of my great friends. She's an amazing filmmaker, and I wouldn't be here today if it was not for her helping me get to where I am filmmaking wise. Violet Mendoza. I've appreciated Mark's impactful work ever since the early years. As I studied his body of work, I had a sense that he has actually created his own unique genre. Was that intentional?
Oh, cool, Violet. That's cool. Yeah, it was. I started calling it reality cinema. I'm like, I was like, I'm quite certain. I'm not sure if any, filmmaker has made this many films with his, family members like I have. I have this unique process of taking these real life relationships and real people around me and getting them to perform and play versions of themselves. And, namely my children. I mean, making The End of Love with Isaac when he was 2. Yeah. Bodhi when he was 3. There they're really special, unique, pieces. And so, yeah, I started calling it reality cinema. I'm like, deeply inspired by like when Vinterberg and Von Trier, did the Dogma thing, and you had the French New Wave, and I'm like, all right, I make reality cinema. I'm gonna define it and coin it myself. But it feels fitting, I'm taking reality, I'm taking life, real aspects of reality, my reality, but making it cinematic,
Absolutely. All right, a question from Amanda. What advice would you give to an aspiring actor? Also, thanks for always keeping it real on Twitter.
Oh, thanks, Amanda. I love the love for the tweets here. I love that you pulled those, Brandon. That's rad, man. Like, when you're on there, sometimes you can feel like you're just speaking into a void. Sometimes
I feel you.
You
But
know?
no, it's being heard, brother. It's being heard.
Advice, it's like, you look after yourself, look after yourself, love yourself, cultivate real, true self-love, get to know yourself, get to know your true essence, and embrace your individuality to its fullest extent, like, love yourself so deeply, cherish that there's no one like you in the entire world, and no one can ever be like you. And know that you're so worth it, you're worth it, and you deserve to have your dreams come true, and you deserve to live a beautiful life, and you can literally do anything, and there are no rules. There are absolutely no rules. You can absolutely do anything at any time too. There's no there ain't no I had time when I was younger, but that didn't happen, and so that ship has sailed. No, it's bullshit. It's a lie. It's a lie that has been told. It's not true. You can do anything that you want to do at any point in your life, and that would be my advice.
Awesome. Dope advice. You hear that, Amanda? Dope. All right, Mark, we're going to play my weekly thing. It's called One Sentence of Silence. I'm going to ask you I'm going to give you a name of someone you work with, and you just give a line or two about them, good or bad. If you stay silent, that means that you don't like them. So,
okay. Wow.
All right, man. I'm going to start off with Anna Kendrick.
Super funny. Really dope.
All right. Jim Jarmusch.
The fucking man.
All right. Michelle Williams.
Lovely and super talented.
Mariana Polka.
My soul sister. She's a soul sister. Just
awesome.
And a true artist. True artist.
Awesome. Adrian Grenier.
A good friend, man.
Oh, good. Awesome.
Yeah, he's a good friend. Adrian was, surprisingly cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's good to hear. What about the great Bill Murray? Broken Fowls.
Wow, this feels extra loaded right now, man. I just, you see, I'm
trying to give you a good interview, brother. Trying to give you a good interview, brother.
Yeah.
All right.
It's extra timely. I mean, he's a legend. He's legendary. And as we all know, sometimes being legendary doesn't mean you're necessarily always a nice person, right? You can still be a legend and be an asshole, I guess. But
gotcha.
I didn't have that experience with Bill, so but I'm concerned, that something shitty's really happened that we don't know about right now, and
God.
I hope everyone's okay.
All right. Rachel Miner.
Oh, Rachel is rad. really unique individual, you know, kind, and real, very real.
Okay. Gus Van Sant.
A sweetheart.
Awesome.
A soft sweetheart.
Rosario Dawson.
The shit. She's the shit. Rosario's the shit. She's my forever the shit.
Patrick Stewart.
Incredible. Like, just incredible. He's an incredible individual, like, in all facets, as a performer and just as, you know, a human being. He's an incredible guy.
That's awesome. All right, and then the late Lynn Shelton.
Oh, like, so kind and so funny. She was so kind and funny and sweet. She was, you know, she would always giggle, you know, super supportive. Lynn was a very supportive, encouraging filmmaker, and everyone felt that support from her, you know. Everyone wanted to work with Lynn in the way that she worked, you know. Very supportive, really kind. I miss her.
Thank you for that. Appreciate that. All right, so yeah, you didn't stay silent. So there's no one coming after you. No one come after you. All right, so one thing, a few of our guests on the show that I always ask them, because again, we have a lot of people in the audience that are married. So a decade ago, you met your lovely wife Teresa. Since then, you've had 4 children with her. You have 5 total, which is. I can't even think about it. I don't even have one, so I can't even imagine that. So my question for you is how did the two of you manage your thriving careers and still be the loving parents that you guys are? Because there's a million beautiful photos of you and the kids out there, and I've been around you and Bodie, and I just see the love just ooze for him and everything. I haven't met Teresa yet, but again, I always hear amazing things about her. So just speak about like what keeps this love like flowing for you all, and how you're able to do this in this crazy business.
Well, you know, all the key classic stuff, like our communication is through the roof. You know, we really share with each other what's going on with each other, you know, and we are constantly continuing to always share and reveal all sides of like who we are, and encourage one another. You know, we really encourage each other as much as possible at all times. Oh, hey Frank, this is on the live podcast here with Brandon. It's Frank Tartaglia.
Oh, Frankie. He's the question's coming up soon.
Crash the podcast, man.
What's up, Frankie?
Hey.
What's up, brother?
Sorry.
Looking good. Looking smooth. So yeah, you and Teresa.
Funniest time too, because I'm talking about my relationship with Teresa. No. So that's it. It's communication. The communication is the key, most vital thing. And you know, and we're dedicated to giving each other and our kids like the best life possible. You know, we really function as a team. We really we look at ourselves as a team, you know, like she's my everything and I'm her everything, you know, and like it just feels great, man. You know, it's the best part about being in a relationship, you know, when it's functioning at its best. You know, you have someone who's looking out for you at all times, you know, and vice versa. And it's, you know, actually more freeing, more liberating. I think when you're in a really committed, loving relationship, your sense of freedom can really flourish because you feel safe and you feel grounded and secure in your relationship, you know, and it allows her and I to continue to explore ourselves and who we are and how we change and evolve. And, you know, there's space for all that. And, you know, and then the kids become that beautiful glue, you know. They keep it all together in the best way, because they're these, you know, these beautiful beings that you've created together, you know, and you get to re-experience aspects of your own childhood through their experiences. And, you know, it's you know, and when that's functioning at its best, there's nothing more meaningful in life than that, I feel like, you know. And yeah,
we should
that's
all
it.
be able to find that, brother, man.
I hope so. Everybody can.
Man,
Everybody
man.
can, and everybody will. You know,
I gotta step up the game.
It comes when you're most ready. You know.
But you practice a vegan lifestyle that CJ mentioned earlier. How do you feel that's helped you in your life, health wise, or even mentally?
It's so much, man. I grew up not eating the best, and you know, being exposed to, and not having really many of the best options for food choices. It was just all fast food and junk food, and couldn't really, you know, just wasn't exposed to anything other than your standard kind of shitty fast food diet. And so I got lucky to hang out with a group of like straight edge vegan hardcore kids, you know, when I was a teenager in Philly, and they introduced me to my first falafel. And, you know, I suddenly was eating Indian food for the first time, and other food.
Who?
My
first falafel.
I think Dan Murphy. Yeah. Yeah, my friend Dan. Frank Session, he was the first person to introduce me to falafel.
That's awesome. Falafel is the shit.
Yeah, you know, like, and it was like a revelation for me, because all I would eat was like cheesesteaks and hoagies and Big Macs. And now I eat vegan versions of those. You know?
There you go. It's still good, man.
Yep.
People always hit me up and ask me how it is, and I said, look, just try it. And some people some people end up loving it more than they did the stuff. You realize a Big Mac was disgusting once you try the vegan version.
Yeah, totally.
No doubt. So it's funny that Frank came in, because my next question is, we did an independent film a couple years back called Not for Nothing, written and directed by Frank, that's there in the room, and Tim Dallin, another buddy of yours, long time. What was it like to play the villainous role, Bobby Boss, in this film? Because you play a range of characters, but what was it like to play a grimy character like this in this movie?
You know, it was great, because, you know, the making of this movie was so special, because it's making it with your brothers, you know. And so, you know, when you are able to kind of piggyback off of pre-existing deep bonds, you have a base level of like understanding that's there, and camaraderie it's just there. You don't have to manufacture it. It just comes from like your bond. It's from your brothers. And so that just frees up time and energy to go into characterization and feeling free and liberated on the day to explore things. And so, you know, I was always really clear with the guys that I really wanted to, you know, I wanted to do an interesting take on this guy. I wanted the menacing scariness to come from this like oddly grounded place, as opposed to like a fucking rah kind of guy, you know. And wanted to bring in a lot of pain, you know. I wanted to bring in a lot of pain. I wanted you to feel this guy's pain, so you could have like a reason to understand why he was the way that he was, you know, to really try to humanize this guy, and not just make him a one-dimensional, like he's the bad guy, you know.
And that's what's dope about it too, is that like a lot of the best villains are obviously flawed characters, but they themselves don't believe that they are the villain. Yeah, they believe in their own world. In some ways, they're the hero of the story. Yeah. Completely. So I mean, that's I think you brought an eeriness to it. But again, there is a when you're looking at the sides of the coin in this film, when you have these kind of knuckleheads from South Philly, and it is blurred like who really is the bad guy, like on one side of it, because one guy's just trying to survive and do his thing, and these other cats are trying to survive and do their thing.
Yep, so that's an important function of the story.
Who's to say who's bad and who's good? So So I think people are going to be happy when they see this. It was a pleasure actually being in scenes with you and kind of hearing like the little nuggets you would say to me and Corey and even watching it behind the camera, just again, because both of us are producers on it, and just getting to see like when you would just go to Tim and Frank and like whisper something in their ear. Because again, you've done this on an award-winning level as a filmmaker, and as an actor, you've worked with some of the greats of all time. So like again, it was a pleasure just again being in that space. Just kind of being a fly on the wall when I could and just soaking up that. So look forward to people seeing that movie when it drops, hopefully later this year. So yeah, thanks for sharing
it down, man. You were also extremely instrumental in holding it down. You know,
I'm just, Frank and Tim are good cats, man. And Pete Palullo, shout out to him, and the rest of the cats, John Stefano, all those guys, man. They all did their thing, and Rigobuto, wherever he's at, shout out to him. So like everybody, so Mark, I know you can't speak about what's new as far as the new thing. Hopefully you'll share some stuff with me behind the scenes, but what's any roles coming up for you, or what's on the horizon?
Yeah, I just did this really, really cool kind of bigger commercial action film, like an action drama called Trigger Warning with Jessica Alba, and for Netflix, and so that was cool, man.
Are you kicking ass in it, or?
Yeah, to a certain extent, but Jessica does all the real ass kicking. I play a corrupt sheriff, and we're Jessica and I are past lovers, and it was cool, man. It was a really cool, fun movie to make, and so that'll come out at some point this year. Maybe the end of the summer. I imagine. Yeah.
So you're back in Philly, you said right now.
I am. Yeah.
Are you putting the seats together for something you're doing here, or are you just back for?
Well, no, I came here for a little shoot. Like I did a little promotional shoot. But yeah, there's the way in which this next film is functioning, like I'm operating and thinking about it on all cylinders everywhere that I'm at,
Feel you.
And there's the potential for, certain stuff to be done here. So,
okay.
Yeah, man.
Well, you know where to find me, man. You know where to find me, man.
Hell yeah, bro.
Always look forward to working with you again, brother. All right. So, man. So I wanted to give out a shout out to your mom because, again, she's a very inspirational figure to many, many people in Philadelphia and beyond with the Poor People's Army. Just speak a little bit about what that is, what that means to you, what that means to her, because I wanted to, CJ put the link up there. I wanted people to know a little bit more about that because it is something that I feel and I try to support as much as I possibly can because it's necessary, not just in Philly, but all around our world to help the people that are less fortunate. So can you speak a little bit about your mom and this cause, please?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's mine too. I mean, Poor People's Army is basically, it's the most, one of the most meaningful aspects of my life because it's a movement, that's directly made up of poor folks around the world. And also people who know and see the effects of poverty in other ways, and also who are sick of certain systems in place that just hold people down, who are trying to envision a better new world for everybody. And so, my mom's a hardcore human rights activist, and she's been in the streets her whole life. Housing unhoused people, feeding hungry folks, taking in people who are struggling, and who are often victims of a really cruel system, and trying to mobilize folks to educate themselves and to band together to try to take a look at how we can actually really change these systems and give people the best experiences that they should have on this planet. One of abundance, really. And not lack. I'm a firm believer that if we, we have the means and the intelligence as a species now to essentially create a utopia for all of us, but why don't we? Right.
We do.
And I think that there's a lot of, a lot of reinforcement of systems just by us, the way we're set up to have to function. We have no choice, and in doing so, we're kind of upholding institutions and places of power that are keeping us essentially enslaved. And I want a world where nobody's got to be homeless. No one has to be denied healthcare. No one has to be denied an opportunity. We certainly shouldn't live in a world where, people go hungry, man. It's absurd.
Absolutely. It's true.
And yeah, Poor People's Army is a collective, is an organization across all class and cultural lines, political lines, to come together and have a conversation and build.
Absolutely. All right. Anybody that wants inspiration about the Poor People's Army, the URL was right up there, poorpeoplesarmy.com. If you want to join the movement or find out more about it, please check it out right there. And some good people that are behind it. And like I said, more of this is needed in the world to help uplift all of us, as opposed to be held down by like the establishment that, again, doesn't really care as much about some of the people that are struggling in our world. So thank you for those profound words, Mark. Mark, what the last question of every week for my guests is, you've been dropping a ton of nuggets, obviously all night long, but just some words of wisdom, there's a lot of filmmakers, actors that watch this, just some words of wisdom, uplifting or not, about that you'll leave everybody tonight with about this business, and the stage is yours, my friend.
Sure, man. I'd love to. You're enough. You're enough. You're enough. You have everything you need within you. You yourself are a unique expression of life, and there really is no one like you, and you're enough, and you're worthy, and you deserve greatness, and you can change the world, and you can impact culture, you can save lives, and you can inspire lives. And you're capable of doing things that you feel are totally impossible. You can do it. You really can. And, it's a combination of unwavering self-love and acceptance and forgiveness and compassion for yourself and for others. Cultivates, I feel, like a well of positive energy in you that people can feel, and that goes out vibrationally and ripples across the whole thing, man. The whole, whatever you want to call this, and you can have impact by simply smiling at someone during the day, saying hi to a stranger. And you can also have impact by making an incredible film, and you have impact by being a good friend and a good husband and a good son and a sister and a mother and a brother. Kindness is everything. And try to figure out how to live every moment to the fullest, full of love, and you'll be happy.
I dig it.
I love those words. I'm sorry, I had to interrupt. I was just please. Digging this whole interview. I'm sitting here. I think this is the best way for me to do it, because if not, I'd be fanboying like crazy, just putting comments in this in this thing.
You're so rad. Thanks, man.
I gotta say, Mark, I was looking through your IMDb and I came across The Place of No Words.
Yeah.
And the trailer for this movie just like got me. Because it was like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh man, there's a story in here that I really want to see. The story within this story is like I want to watch it. It's on Hulu.
Cool. And you gotta say it, man. You gotta watch it.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm watching it this weekend. But one thing I got was that you shot it with your son.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have a 3-year-old
And
about
my
to turn,
wife.
and your wife, and I have a 3-year-old about to be 4, and I've been playing just action like roles with him, like action cut, and he's getting it, and now he's like, okay, now your turn, I shoot you, and I'm like, you really want to do this? Like, you really,
Yeah, that's cool.
you're 3 and you want to do this? Like, so I guess my question as me being here is just because I just want to talk to you. This is so cool. I'm going to stretch this as much as I can. Sorry, I'm joking.
Yeah.
Is like I'm embracing that, but when did you pick up on that your kid could do that? Your children could do that?
You know, like similar to you, you know, it's just the life of being a dad, and you know, I could see certain aspects of his imagination would take him to places and ways he would emulate and create little characters within stories that we would tell each other, you know, and just there's certain aspects of his personality that just there was a vibrancy there. There was a you know, just that thing. There's like a thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, but you know, Bodie can do this, you know, and man, did he ever. Like,
you're gonna be blown away, CJ.
He blew me away.
Just with the trailer, I just watching it. Yeah, I was just watching the interaction, and then also I saw like this like fantasy part of it. I was like, oh, he got me. He hooked me.
Nice.
I was like, so you wrote and directed that movie?
Yeah.
And acted. Wow.
It. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. And that's gotta say is, and I'll leave it at this because as I'm a filmmaker and I'm meeting someone with your caliber and hanging out with Brandon a lot. Like a lot of stuff rubs off, and I'm just saying thank you for still doing this, and always thank you for like acting and filmmaking.
Thank you.
And it helps me out because it makes me really like clear that, like Brandon said, when those paths clear, you gotta have a target or know where to go, and if you don't, you just go. Yeah. And then it'll take you somewhere. And then as I'm here with you guys and just listening to you, I couldn't have been more honored to be here. And I just want to say thank you for coming on the show because this is such a great experience.
Oh man, thank you guys. No, and this is it. You know, it's like as fellow artists, we really, you know, we should encourage each other, man. Like as much as possible. Like look out for one another. It's really, it's so important, man. It's so vital. You know, try to break that mentality that folks have of like, there's not enough, and I gotta be careful, and you know, maneuvering, right? I have found the opposite. The more you look at things as like celebrating everyone's wins and victories and looking out for each other and encouraging each other and finding the best in one another, you know, it's only good for you as well, too, you know, and I look at this exchange with you guys right now and being a part of this podcast and having a moment to reflect on my life and my career and my work and have it reflected back to me that it's meaningful in ways is like, that's it. You know, this is why I do what I do. It's for moments like this. So thank you guys, man.
Yeah, man. You had great comments too here. I mean, this goes down as the best IOU to date, which is hard to say after last week. Great stuff. Last week was Christina Lee. And then, you know, you got TK, The Hands. We got
nice. Thank you.
Lady Liquid Soul. And then, you know, Sean Smith and Mark, You Are the Man, and Joe Ridgely. Love this. So thank you, Joe.
Oh, cool, man. Thank you. I love you. I love you all. I really do.
Thank you. You know? Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Tim, TK, Amanda, Julia, Sean. You guys, this was a great show. Mark, where can we find you on social media? Like, if anybody wants to reach out,
on Instagram, and I'm just Mark Weber on Instagram, and I'm like Mark on Twitter.
Yes, check out that Twitter, people.
Thank you, bro.
Dopeness. And you're right. You were totally right in your final uplifting words. Is sometimes I'm blown away when I get a message from somebody saying thank you for a positive post, a tweet, or something like that. You never know who needs to hear positive reinforcement in their life. They might be having a bad day, maybe a bad week. They may be going through a breakup, whatever it might be. Their car might be in the shop, and they might have a huge bill. So you never know. I always try to put positivity out in the world because there's so much negativity. So I feel that, Mark, that we should definitely continue to do those and put out that deepness, but also the realness. I also appreciate a lot of the realness because that needs to be said too. Even though it's hard sometimes for some people to worry about like what the backlash might be from it, but we always have to be real and we always have to stand for something, or we'll fall for anything. So for me, it's like, I appreciate you. Please keep doing that. I'm honored to call you a friend. I appreciate that we've got to do things in the past, Mark. I look forward to a future where we'll do more. And I appreciate you getting through the tech difficulties earlier,
no,
staying with me, man, and coming on, because you've dropped a lot of knowledge for our audience tonight, and I know a lot of people are watching and they appreciate it just as much as I do. So thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Much love. All right.
Thank you. Much love too, bro.
All right.
Thanks,
man.
CJ.
Hey, Mark. It's nice to meet you,
Mark,
man.
have a good weekend, man.
And thanks everybody for watching. Yeah, you guys too.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, let's definitely talk soon, man. Take care.
You got it, bro.
All right, man. Everybody, Mark Weber, thank you. That's wow,
dude. That was awesome interview, man. That's just the energy that he brings. And I've met quite a few people, but like I met Corey Taylor and I've met Henry Winkler, the Fonz, and Slipknot. Yeah. They have like that honesty. Like you can just they're not saying it because they wanted to hear their voice, or they want they're saying it because they're genuinely like, oh, here's some advice, or here's this, here's that. And it's just like, what? You're just giving me these nuggets like for what? Like. So if they're watching here.
Yeah, this is free, and that's what I mean, I said it in some of the earlier episodes to the audience. This is free information. I even said it to you that this is you can ask those questions. You just got to ask, and you don't know. A year from now, 2 years from now, you could have a film in a big film festival that stars you and your son. Yeah. Maybe you and some of your other family members, your brother or something. So, like Mark said, anything is possible. You just got to believe it and go out and achieve it. Like that's really what it comes down to. Whenever I've been held down in my life, it was always something that I was in my own way.
Yeah.
And then once I realized, you know what, I can finish this, I can do this. Then again, the C parts, and you realize that, wow, the sky is very much the limit. So, I mean, for me, a lot of what Mark said rings very true. And people do go check out his Twitter. If you haven't seen the films he's directed, like, they are, like he said, reality cinema. They are works of art that stand alone from a lot of other things that you'll see out there, whether it's The End of Love, Explicit Ills, The Ever After, The Place of No Words. I mean, all of it is, and Flesh and Blood, of course, all of it is just top-notch storytelling, but it comes from the heart. It comes from a place that's different than just writing a script and casting actors. He actually works with, again, friends and family, like you said, like he told you, with Bodie and Isaac. And so, again, and he gets these performances that when you watch Place of No Words, we'll talk about it next week, because you're not going to believe that little boy is not a trained seasoned actor, because I sat in Tribeca Film Festival for the premiere, and the entire audience, the sold out audience, was blown away. And it's an unbelievable. We expect it from Mark and Teresa and the other actors, because that's their realm. That's what they do, and they do it on a high level. But that little boy, man, he's absolutely amazing in that film. So I want to thank everybody for coming out. Sean Smithson, excellent night, guys. Truly enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Yes, positivity. That's what I'm trying to give out with this show.
Thanks, Sean.
Sean, yes. That's what I'm trying to give out with this show. Joe, we love you. Thank you for just even giving us this platform to do this every week. Everybody, CJ, you have a show coming up on Monday?
I do. I actually have a guest. I have a guest coming on. I'm gonna throw it out there in a minute. I was gonna get all the advertising on, but I have a guest coming on, a podcaster from the Good Soup Live, William Bassa. He's gonna come in, just kind of he's a podcaster to give me some advice. I like that. I did a talk with him before I got on with you, and it was cool just having another person that's from your realm. I love all you guys in that area. I'm over here. I feel like I'm on an island, a massive island, but I'm on an island, and you guys are over there, and I just can't wait to go over there and hang out with you guys, because just the vibes, just the go-to attitude, everybody's like, even some of the people that I would think that someone would say like, oh, they're a little rough or they're a little too raw. I'm like, I love those people, man. I want to work with them, because at least I know what I see is what I get. And once I learn the combination of like, oh, this is how we're going to get along, then I'm good to go. Because at that point, I know that they might do this, we're going to move, but we're going to end up with something, opposed to just blank stole, like poker face, and then we leave, and then all this stuff behind my back happens. It's just like, I can't stand
that. No, that's what I've dealt with a lot in my career, and I have zero time for that. Realness is just so number one thing for me. Like, because again, like you said, you know what you're getting. Doesn't matter if it's raw, doesn't matter if it's in your face, doesn't matter if it's things that you don't want to hear. It's real. And I can take that any day of the week as opposed to somebody that's talking out the side of their mouth and then they have that knife ready to stab you in the back. So for me, cats like Mark, Christina Lease, Courtney Gaines, all of my guests that have been on here, Brooke Lewis Bellas, all of them are just straight up people that, like if you did get punched in the face by then, you deserved it because there was something real that you did that pissed them off. But they're also the most fiercely loyal people that will punch someone else in the face for you to stand up for you. They will not let somebody run you down behind your back or whatever. So for me, I mean, that's what we're building here. That's who Joe is. That's who you are, who Gabe and the rest of our family is. We're people who are straight up and people who are just trying to put good programming out there every week for people. So again, I want to thank everybody for showing up and the great questions. And thank you, CJ, for helping me out tonight with this show. And again, man, thanks to the great Mark Webber, a friend. Again, check out his films. Check out his films not only as an actor, but like I said, check out that stuff as a director because you won't be disappointed.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Like just seeing that he's done like both sides, and he struggled, and I think that's the thing I see is like someone that struggled. You sense it. Like that's why he's so chill, because he's seen real like BS, like bullshit. It's like, and then now he, like he said, he was privileged and he's honored. I could tell he's just really like, I mean, he's honored to be like doing what he's doing, and he's just taking it like every day with stride because it's he's appreciative of it, and it makes me want to be more like that. So it's cool.
Yeah. It's all a blessing. All of this podcast, your podcast, the crowd, the fun thing that's going to help other filmmakers and other people in different businesses realize their dreams, and what Gabe does, what Daniella and Ray do, what all of us try to do, David and Scott, obviously, with End of the Night. So again, for me, it's this is a grassroots thing that we're building, but even in life with our filmmaking careers, our lives, as you as a father, it's all an evolution. It's all something that'll continue to evolve. We just have to believe, like Mark said, that we can do anything, that we can make the biggest films. We can do whatever it is that we aspire to do. So did you have any next week? I know we have a placard for next week for my show. We have another amazing guest I'd like to just give a shout out to again, if we could. The awesome Michael Pare. Again, two of my favorite all-time movies, Eddie and the Cruisers and Streets of Fire. Michael and I worked together recently in Florida on a great film that's in post right now. And Michael too is very straight up in your face too. And it's going to be another great conversation next week. So people, please come back and check us out next week, and like, subscribe, share too. Go to that YouTube page for the Indie Escape. Go to the Facebook page if you haven't, and please just share, because the more people see this, the more people will get behind this grassroots movement that we're doing, and we'll continue to grow this thing and get great guests and have more shows that we can offer to you. So with that being said, like, again, thank you all again. It's a blessing to be here. It's a blessing to do this in my life and to do this every Friday night when I'm available. And I'm going to just end with my end phrase: believe in the power of yourself and the right others. Good evening, everybody.